Hey guys, so I wasn't able to show you the actual female mac that's with this male. The male is now hiding in one of his more comfortable spots that he feels secure. He's still holding, and he's been churning the eggs like he typically should. And now that the male is hiding, the female's been a little bit more bold to be out. Now, if I had another male, I know for a fact, and this is probably not rocket science, if I had another male, I would be able to get these guys to spawn. She probably would spawn with as many males as I would be able to put her with. She's been raring to go ever since they spawned. She's been searching around. She's been hanging around him, and she's been searching around for a possible another partner. Once they're in that mode, they're in that mode for a little while. I found that this particular female will stay in that mode for what would be probably close to a couple weeks. So she's been eating pretty good. I'm gonna start introducing some live meaty foods to her, which I've been trying to avoid. I like it better when the fish are taken commercial type dry foods. It's just a lot easier. I've spoiled fish in the past to where they've completely turned off from feeding on commercial flake and pellets and only wanted live, and that becomes such a huge pain in the butt, especially when you do take a vacation and you have people come and spend some time taking care of the fish. Here's one of the coolie loaches right there. Coolie loaches I found to be amazing, great partners with wild bettas, especially macrostoma. The male macrostoma in this tank has tested a coolie loach and learned rather quickly that's not a good idea. And ever since then, he's left them alone. But as far as companions, they're very good scavengers. I do believe that they probably would take small enough fry. I'm not ignorant to that fact that they are scavengers and also predators. But, you know, the male in this tank would be removed prior to actually spitting the fry out. And then he would be in a tank where he can actually let go of the fry and let them be with no predators whatsoever. But as far as companions, I found that coolie loaches are great companions. They typically don't have issues with ick. Loaches do tend to be susceptible to fungus, but if that was your problem, you wouldn't be maintaining macrostoma in the first place. Your water quality isn't the best, and you can't keep coolie loaches, then you're not keeping macrostoma. But I found them to be great companions with wild bettas. They're great scavengers. They will find every little morsel of food that's uneaten, and by the next day or within the next hours or so, it will be removed and completely consumed. In this tank, I have six, maybe even seven coolie loaches. I missed probably seven, and half of them have actually been in our collection for over 3 years. So they are somewhat long-lived, believe it or not. And when you feed them well, they kind of thicken up and look really cool. I have only seen a few different subspecies of coolies in shops. I do know that there are quite a few different species of coolie loaches that are sometimes available. I might have to reach out to my Indonesian contact to find out if he has access to any of those, especially ones that come from Borneo, which would be more adept to being a biotope companion for macrostoma. And then maybe even some of the rasborer species that are also found in the waterways that some of the macrostoma are found in. But for the most part, I think some loaches are a pretty great companion for them. They don't bother the macs. They typically leave them alone, and the macs do not bother them. So the 29-gallon tank has turned out to be a pretty good success. I just added the leaves in the tank today. I didn't want to mess around with the tank, especially now that the male's holding. But I was able to slip them in and haven't bothered anybody in doing so. The pH I tested today was about 5.3. The temperature is between 74 and 75 degrees. I know a lot of people wonder if clay box sand is conducive to maintaining a low pH. This particular batch of clay box sand has been in use in the macrostomas tank for over a year, so it's well cultured, has beneficial bacteria growing on it, gives it that good biological add-on, and for the most part hasn't affected me in maintaining my pH. The driftwood probably does a pretty good job, the leaves, and I also use pretty good water. And naturally my water in my area right now seems to come out of the tap at around 6.0, so it doesn't take much to get it down to about 6.5 at least. So, I'm sorry, 5.5 at least, which I've also found to be decent enough to spawn max in my collection. I know people say from time to time, you have to have 5.0 or lower to maintain and allow for a male to actually hold on to eggs to term. I haven't found that to be the case. This particular pair in this 29-gallon tank were, believe it or not, wild caught imports, and they adapted to 5.5, sometimes even 6.0 with no problem. So, there's a lot of stories out there about max and reasons why max don't hold and reasons why max don't do well in captivity for some people. And I think sometimes we tend to overdo the fish. I know I did in the beginning. I know a lot of my original followers would say, "Oh, Ron, you'll be fine with them." If you know me from the very beginning, I held off from getting macrostoma for over 2 years until I was ready. And I brought in lots of wild betta fish from super rare gladiator slash gladiator subspecies fish, which never turned out to be true gladiator, to all the different forms of wild bettas that we have in our collection. And I held off in getting max for a while until I knew I could do the species right. But in reality, I was pretty much ready for it, and Nathan and I knew that we could handle them. So we imported our first. You'll probably be able to see him right there. There he is. Look at that mouth. We imported our first pair over a year ago, which is this pair, and have done well with it. And then from there on, I purchased a couple of pairs from captives, guys who I trusted did pretty good with them. And so far my imports have proven to be sturdy and strong. So this is just a slight update on the max. The male's still holding. Female is now showing herself, and she's been out and about looking for another possible breeding companion. The loaches have been spending a lot of time out. Dim light and good water quality, and basically just let them be are my best suggestions for maintaining macrostoma. Thanks for watching, guys. Video's a little long, but sometimes I like to talk. Thank you very much. Ron from FunctionBuilt-Aquatics. See ya.